double check, make sure that I can see it on the feed. There we are. Okay. So, hi everyone. We're going live today, and we're talking about the topic about immersive personal growth. And I have, what do I want to really say about this? I was really overwhelmed by the number of people who responded to my post, my invitation to jump on a call and speak about it. And I'm expecting others. A number of people had said that they'll join. It'll be free flow. I suspect some people will be in and out as we go. We're going to spend about 30 minutes having a conversation just about immersive personal growth. And how I want to talk about immersive personal growth is the way in which I defined it in the book that I wrote a few years ago. And so there are all of these different personal growth activities. You could say that when one meditates, that's personal growth. When one journals, that's growth, etc. So I'm not really talking about activities where you're doing things on your own, or you're doing things over a short period of time. How I define personal growth was really to say events or activities that take a longer time investment and typically are group-based activities. And I'll reference an article from the Harvard Business Review in a few minutes down the road, where I would want to talk about the relevance of group activities when I give a chance for some folks to share. But why I'm bringing this up, a number of people were saying, why do you want to talk about this? Well, there's two reasons I want to talk about this. The first is that I've been in a habit over the last several months of doing some live talk topics on Facebook Live with panels about different habits that I covered in my book. And it just so happened that this week on my social media, I'm sharing about this particular habit. But the second reason was that as I was thinking about whether or not I wanted to do this live conversation, I started to realize that the access that people have to these activities has been restricted because, as I said, they're mostly group activities. And people, in my experience, have been shying away or pulling back from doing them, especially in a time when I think investing the time and effort and energy in doing them could be beneficial. So I wanted to actually get into this conversation. So I've got Karen on with me. I've got Bill on. I've got Mike, Carlos. Welcome, everybody. You guys, I've muted you on entry, so you'll need to unmute yourself if you want to talk.
Thank you.
Hey, Karen.
Yeah, I don't know where's my video? I have no clue where it's gone.
I don't know. I don't have any control over your video, so you're gonna have to do that.
No, I do, and I don't. I mean, it always comes on, and now it's not.
All right. Well, if you can figure it out, we'll be happy to see your smiling face.
Thank you.
All right, so let's just start with, I'll get you guys to share about your experience with these kind of activities, but I know if I let you go, you could talk for probably 10, 15, 20 minutes each. So let me see if I can keep it concise. What's your favorite personal growth, immersive growth activity you've done, course, program, experience, whatever that is? And that could be like a personal development course or Vipassana or a course on tantra, any of that kind of stuff. So what's your favorite? And out of that favorite, what's the one thing that you got that no amount of money in the world that I could give you would have you give it back? Who wants to go first?
Tough one.
All right, Bill, go ahead.
Sure. Well, as you, of course, very well know, I've been involved with Landmark for the past 15 years, not so much the last couple of years, both in the senior assisting, such as course supervising and production supervising, and as participant in quite a few courses. I got a lot out of it, and I have no regrets. whatsoever. It's been very good.
Bill, let me cut in. I'm going to cut in because this
Yeah.
is exactly the thing that I got concerned that if I let you guys go, you'll talk a lot. If you're going to pick Landmark, what's your favorite program that you ever did there? The one that you love the most? And
The
what's the
advanced
thing?
course.
The advanced course?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the one thing you got out of the advanced course that no amount of money in the world that I could give you would have you give back?
Community.
Community. Can you say more about that?
Yes. Personally, I was up till then pretty much a single person. I did not like socializing in community.
Okay.
There I was forced to share, as you know.
Yeah.
And yes, I got the freedom to actually share and not care that I don't look very good necessarily or even look bad at times.
Okay. All right. That's great. That's really great. Who else? Favorite program, course, activity, and the one thing you would never want to give back?
I'll go next.
Yeah, Carlos.
All right, Damien, first let me say thank you for having me in this conversation. Means a lot that you've reached out. And yeah, to answer your question, I've done almost everything Landmark, right? So the curriculum for living and communications course. And it's a toss up between the advanced course and the communications course for me. And what I would say has made the biggest difference, that I would never trade it for the world, is the distinction of self-expression that's found in others, right? So that the idea that there's this version of myself that can only be discovered in other people, right? So it's like making demands of others and having other people make demands of me is the access for me to be fully self-expressed.
Interesting. Interesting. I love the way that you say that, Carlos. So what have you gotten out of that kind of interaction with people? Like people, you making demands of them making demands of you?
Well, I mean, it goes back to, I mean, if you want to bring in the conversation of integrity, right? Where it's like, what can other people count on me for? Right. And that's really what defines the relationship. Right. So if I say that other people can count on me for something, but other people say that they can't count on me for that, it doesn't matter what I say other people can count on me for.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a version of self that I'm disconnected with.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So the sooner that I can have the two be aligned, right, the sooner I can show up powerfully in life and actually express who I say I am in the world and how other people experience me.
Yeah.
Right.
Clear. By the way, you and I have a conversation we need to have about a project I'm working on.
I'm looking forward to it. Let's do it.
All right. Anybody have an example of their favorite that is not Landmark related? I got all Landmark people on the call. Nobody.
Yes, I do.
Karen, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, when I joined it was called Information Network.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, the 4 principles, just who do you listen to? And like, I mean, that is very powerful because like for me, listening to the news, even as a child, I told my parents it was stupid. And now it's like way beyond comprehension for most people. So who do you listen to is like one of the questions you ask. And if it doesn't resonate with you, you know, it doesn't mean that they're right or wrong, but it doesn't resonate with you because we all have our own being in the world, the way we come into the world, the way we present ourselves.
Yes.
Teachability index. Are you teachable?
Yes.
Are you willing to learn? Those are some really important questions that really powerfully have changed my life.
And how have they changed your life, Karen?
Well, like I said, if it doesn't feel right when I'm listening to somebody, I try to be polite. And, you know, see that that's their point of view, but it's not necessarily reality. It's only their reality.
Right. Yes. Yes. How do you differentiate between when it doesn't feel right and a situation where you're confronted by something like it doesn't feel comfortable?
Oh, so like, something where you're stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, versus feeling right. Like when I think about that, when you said it doesn't feel right, there's been so many times when I have been in a situation where I'm being coached and the coach is asking me to do something or is pressing into something that I'm resisting, and it doesn't necessarily feel right, doesn't feel comfortable, and because I've empowered that coach, I let go of my resistance and kind of fall into the coaching and then run with it. But there's a lot of times, I can think of several conversations with my most recent coach where I would get on the phone with him and say, I don't really want to talk to you today.
And I think it's good sometimes to know when some things are too much,
Yeah.
because so we have, like, I mean, from my personal training, what I've taken with my teacher, sometimes we need to slow down and hear things more than once, because once is never enough.
I see.
You need to hear things, and Jim Rohn used to say this. So you need to hear different people speak the same thing, but a different way, because our brain can only calculate it when we're ready.
I'm laughing because I had a networking call with a new colleague yesterday who's in the financial services industry. And we were talking about how many times he has talked to people over the years, entrepreneurs in particular, about their need to have income security, income replacement insurance, etc. And they didn't listen. And all he kept saying, he's talking to them over and over and over and over. Then all of a sudden, guess what? COVID. And some of these people don't have security because their businesses have had to stop, and now they're like, I want that product, I want that service. And but it's amazing why I thought about him was that he said sometimes he's in those conversations for a year until the person actually hears whatever it is that they need to hear to make a difference. So yeah, sometimes we do actually need to hear that often. Okay, so I said that I wanted to talk about this because of the sort of situation in the world. Is everybody, just kind of show me by hands for those of you who have videos, and is everybody who's on this call living in an area where you're basically in some version of lockdown right now? Yeah, like no one's in the United States where everybody's running around doing whatever they want. Okay.
Oh, okay. So like in Kitchener, we're not necessarily in lockdown, like
Okay.
here in Toronto, right? So
yeah, that's why I'm asking.
no,
mandated masks and distancing and limits on group sizes is definitely a lockdown. Yeah.
Oh,
Pretty major infringement on civil liberty.
All right. So we are not going to talk about your opinions about what situation we're in right now. Here's what I want to talk about. Because there are restrictions on group sizes, indoor events, etc., a lot of things have been canceled, right? So I'm a subscriber to the National Ballet. I don't know the next time I'm going to go be able to see the National Ballet. Okay, companies like, you guys use Landmark as an example, companies like Landmark, who traditionally have done all of their events in person, have been moving their courses online. Big, huge organizations like Tony Robbins, who never really had these online events, like the online events that they had recently, adapted to this online event. I'm curious how many people, since we've moved into this kind of a situation, have attended a group activity, like a group program. Nancy, you have? Mike, you have?
Many.
Yeah, I attended Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power virtual.
Okay, how was it? How did you find, did you ever attend a Tony Robbins event live?
No.
No. Okay, so tell me about how that was for you virtually.
So, because I I have never had the experience of like the energy of being in a Tony Robbins live event, I participated in it alone at home for 3 or 4 days. I forget what it was. And then, so while I was in it, I was like all in, but you know, that's just what I do, right? So like I got the pom-poms going, I'm making the notes, I'm chatting in the chat room. He divided us up into 300 people per chat room. So so I was in a group with, and got to know some people through chat. But in hindsight though, like I was caught and swept up with it while it was occurring.
Yes.
In hindsight though, it's like different for me in that, geez, I missed out on the whole experience of being with people, and I missed out on that. But you know, the shininess has sort of washed off for me, but
Yep.
I have to wonder if that would have happened anyway. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was good while it was happening, and now I'm just sort of like meh on it, and but I might have been meh even if I'd gone to a live event.
Okay, that's fair.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
fair. Do you have any other experiences of other live programs or events that you've participated in where afterwards you were meh about it and you were really excited during it? Or is this isolated to just this online experience?
I also went to like a Sterling weekend.
Yeah.
So I was running big rackets for the whole weekend. So I didn't really get the weekend until I started attending class. Those classes have now gone virtual, and they're still good.
Okay.
Yeah, the things like the Landmark Forum, those like will always stay with me.
Yes.
The forum was so profound that it just always like has made a difference for my life, right?
Yes. I understand.
So I'm gonna say, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. I'm all over the map with it, right?
Okay. All right. That's fair. And I really do want to acknowledge those organizations for adapting given what they're facing. I understand that Landmark in particular is pretty close to being able to do the forum online. I don't think they've done the forum online, but they've done seminars online. They've done other group programs online. I know they did the advanced course, maybe communications. They'd be doing the wisdom course online for a while. And I'm curious to actually see what a non-graduate program like the Landmark Forum being done online. I'm really curious to see what the results are like. Because as many of you who are on the call know that I participated in the Landmark community for quite a while. One of the things that I think we always would say was that the power of the Landmark Forum came from being in a room full of people, and now we're going to do the Landmark Forum in a video room full of people. So I think that'll be interesting to see.
Can I add one more thought?
Absolutely.
As a result of taking UPW virtual, the Tony
Yeah.
Robbins thing, I did sign up for business mastery.
Okay.
So it's like a really expensive course that lasts for 4 days, I think 5 days maybe. And I'm actually glad that I'm taking it virtually because it's going to be very personal to my business, and
Yes.
it's going to be a lot of note taking and focus. And I think it's going to be better that I'm in the room alone rather than with like thousands of other people being distracted, that I can really focus on the content because I paid so much money for it. I really want to get every single nugget that I can possibly get. And I think I would be distracted in a room with thousands of people. So I think it's actually going to be better than in a group of people to do it virtually.
Great. Great. All right. So here's the magic question. And I think I know where most of you will stand, given that you all said, yes, I want to share. Is spending the time on money on these immersive personal growth activities worth it? And why?
Hi, Damien, honey.
Hi, Kimbay.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Good to see you.
My longtime friend who knew me when I was Giselle.
It's all right. By any other name, you are still as sweet.
You know what? I was really excited to come on this because, like, it's crazy, but I have a confession. So, like, Landmark has completely, totally transformed my life. I think you remember I was trying to do the ILP, and there are 3 weekends, and I couldn't make it to one of them. And so I was trying to do it in India, and I had to do the big ask and ask people for money, and it was just breaking through some really uncomfortable barriers. But once I was able to do that, I was completely unstoppable. And you see me now, right? So I attribute so much of my today's success to Landmark, and a lot of the successful people in my life that I do know have also done Landmark, so that says a lot there. But so my big confession is I wanted to enroll people in Landmark, and I wanted to do the whole ILP. I wanted to become a forum leader, all that stuff, but I really didn't want to get on the phone and make those calls. I really didn't want to do that part of it. And so I remember thinking, you know what, I'm going to get enough influence in my business that I can develop a social media following and sort of let everybody know a big part of my success was actually doing Landmark, to get people to do Landmark. So basically, in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that my whole life is really around getting people to take Landmark. Like, I mean, I got my son to do the youth one, I think he was in grade 7 at the time, and now he's a journalist and a great communicator. And we butted heads because he thought I wanted him to take it because I thought something was wrong with him and I wanted to fix him. And I was like, no, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, when I saw that you were having this opportunity to speak live today at 3:00 about Landmark, I'm like, well, I have to be on this because everything I'm doing is for people to follow my influence and be like, Kimbay, how did you get like this? And I was like, well, I can tell you that Landmark certainly helped, right? Like breaking through the fears, the judgments, the stories, the rackets. I'm all about love now. And that's what I created in the advanced course. It's like, well, now that you have this blank slate and you remove the story and the victimhood and all that kind of stuff, it's like, who do you want to be? And I remember it was such a powerful moment. And I'm like, I want to be love. I want to be as godlike as possible. And I want to be love and bring love into people's lives every day. And I am doing that. And that wouldn't be possible if I didn't take the Landmark forum. So
the answer to my question, so the answer to my question, is it worth it, is yes.
Yes, absolutely. 1000%. Absolutely. I mean, my MBA helped, a lot of things helped, friends, family support, corporate experiences, mentors, but Landmark was the first major shift for me. Like, I think, my dad passed away last year, and I think breaking through the barrier of having to make that phone call and saying what you have to say and, whatever their reaction is, and then coming back to the room and sharing that was huge.
Yeah.
And to do it in a compact weekend. And I remember when I first went to the Tuesday night, I remember thinking, why do I have to take this course and spend hundreds of dollars when I could just get a self-development book? I could just get a book, you know? And I remember whoever at the front of the room was like, no, it doesn't, it's not the same. And it's not, because you can read a book, you can put it down, but when you're in a room full of other people, you know, with your assumptions about their stories, and they get up and they share, and you start to realize the similarities, it really breaks things down. And I think it gives you the ability to share more and to be vulnerable and authentic, because you realize we're all kind of going through the same thing in a different way. So it was just breakthrough after breakthrough. And I really appreciated the program that after I finished the course, whenever I was in breakdown, I could jump on a call. I could call someone and say, hey, I'm in breakdown right now. Like that was well after I'd paid my money and the course was done. Like, where do you get that? Right. And so absolutely, I'm here to be a testimonial to that. Really. I was concerned though. I was really grateful that I took the course before COVID, because like you guys are talking about, how would this translate online? And I was wondering about that.
I want to come back to that. So I'm going to cut you up there because I want to come
No
back.
problem. Yeah.
I'm committed that we don't go too far over. We've got so many people and so much to share. I said I wanted to share. It's okay. I said I wanted to share the Harvard Business Review statistics, and let me share that with you now because it kind of dovetails off what you were saying. So there was one survey in which more than 1,000 people who'd set goals for personal development, more than 96% of them fail. Another source suggests that 80% of New Year's resolutions are abandoned by February. So why so much failure? I'm just reading straight from this article. It may be due to a lack of commitment or to choosing development areas that are overly corrective, rather than focusing on strengths. A dangerously flawed assumption undergirds these explanations. They infer that an individual's development happens individually. Nothing could be further from the truth. Despite our common cultural notion of self-improvement, the most successful efforts to self-improve have other people at their core. The research of Stanford professors explains why this is so. They suggest in their self-affirmation theory that our need to maintain positive self-perceptions leads us to minimizing the impact of our shortcomings. That's because when attempting to learn new things, our egos become naturally self-protective. We reflexively hide, setting the stage for self-improvement efforts to fail. In other words, human beings are infamously bad observers of our own reality. Our ability to calibrate where we are effective or not, and which talents are worthy of investment or not, requires the eyes and insights of those best positioned to help decide, those on the receiving end of our behavior. Further, it's much easier to sustain commitment to hard personal change with the active participation of others. What do you say about that?
I'd like to chime in here, Damien.
Yeah.
I think that's it's very interesting. And what I would say is just like, you know, with in relation to the whole goal setting and all that, because I live this, right? The whole quitting after not reaching some goal or some measurement of success that I set out for myself is really rooted in whatever I make that failure mean about myself, right? So it's actually not being grounded and relating to whether I meet those measures of success or not as a feedback loop of a way of being, if I could use that language, right? So it's just like, it's just, when I get to a place where I can acknowledge it, whether I meet the measures or not, it's just a feedback loop or the feedback of whether or not what I'm doing is actually working or not. And once I can relate to it like that, my activity like that, right, where it's empty and devoid of any meaning to myself and who I am and what I'm up to, then I can take any actions and actually like do something about it or not. Right. And then just progress in the development of whatever I'm up to.
So then, Carlos, are you saying that for you, personal growth, personal development, and making those improvements in in any of the growth areas, that you are just as effective if you're managing on your own versus if you're working inside of a group environment that is supporting that personal growth?
I mean, what I am saying is the results is just a feedback mechanism for that tells me whether I'm being effective or not. That's it.
Okay, so, but that's not what the article is saying, right? The article is saying that as individuals, we are a poor measure for our own performance and growth.
For sure.
Right? So that it would say that a little bit like what Kimbay was saying about reading a self-development book. I can read a self-development book and go about trying to take on developing myself in those areas. If I take the transformation process or whatever it is I'm attempting to transform that's being covered in that book, and I put it into a group environment, doesn't matter what the group environment could be. The group environment could be an accountability group. It could be a landmark program. It could be a Sterling program. I'm not picking sides. Could be a Tony Robbins course, whatever it is, that if we took the same element that we wanted to transform, that we as human beings would see better results inside of a group environment, because the feedback from the external people reflecting back at us actually has an impact on that transformation.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah? Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
That doesn't take away from our ability to self-regulate.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I guess that's what I was alluding to. It's like looking at like, well, if I'm not meeting the measures of success that I've said are a measurement of success, well, what have I been doing? And more likely than not, I'll say it's like you trying to lone wolf it, right? Like it's a pretty good indication that you've been trying to do it on your own, right? Whereas if I throw myself inside of a community and have that as a structure, chances are, I'll see an increase in the results that I produce. Right? Because like they say, like you're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, right? So yeah, for sure.
Mr. Fannin, good to see your face. You gonna unmute you? There you are. I something off with your mic. Can't hear you. Nancy, you had your hand up. You have something to say about what we're
Yeah, I am. So like to talk in landmark speak, it took a long time for me to identify when I was running a racket, but easily right off can always tell when you, Damien, are running a racket, right? So it took years of training through landmark to identify my own rackets, but can identify other people's rackets quite easily. So that in itself is a benefit of being in a group, because they can identify where you're going off the rails, where you can't identify yourself going off the rails, because it's just what you've always done, right?
Fair enough. Mike, I think I saw your hand. Did you have something you wanted?
Yeah, I think I get where you're going with this, personal growth, and then the switch from in-person to largely virtual meetings, contrasting, virtual group work versus individual. Took me a while to remember, but outside of beyond landmark, there's a few things that stand out that have really made a difference. One was involvement in the last 3 years in the Mankind Project and regular group meetings, largely in Vancouver.
Yeah.
As I was thinking about it, I was thinking as well that my involvement in CrossFit was transformative, even though it's not oriented in that way.
Yes.
I recently attended a virtual Mankind Project group, as well as 2 more that were in person, but practicing the local distancing and masking guidelines. And, outside of those examples in my personal life, like what I've been through in the last decade, I've been through a lot of challenges, and isolation, social isolation has been a huge theme already.
Yeah.
I went through what I judged to be a toxic marriage. It was a narcissistic personality disorder, and a lot of scapegoating.
Yes.
And you know, I met you in Landmark 16 years ago, and all of this kind of brings me to reflect on a few things. One is that the people matter a lot, which is to get back to the point of your Harvard Business Review. We exist in relationship. That was a defining insight of a mushroom trip in 1997. So that stuck with me. But it's been driven home ever more true in what I've went through, which has been really, really serious struggles in the past several years. And I'm a single father now, and with health concerns, and really face to face on a regular basis with survival in terms of health and financial. And then of course there's a crazy situation socially, and I'm very tuned into the value of connecting with people. So I think in the personal growth work, the virtual meeting for MKP was almost worthless to me. There is some work, like you said, was it Nancy, about the business stuff? There's things that could be goals focused, more cerebral, that involve organizing information, and that could be really even advantaged with a virtual format. But I got to say, in a lot of situations, it's not just that being with the people. There's that analytical feedback, like, oh, I see your shadow in Jungian work, or oh, I see your racket in Landmark terms. But it's just the emotional, the somatic effect of being with people, maybe scanning all of the thousands of body language cues and postural cues, maybe energetic cues that sadly, even though video is better than nothing, they don't all come through.
Yes.
So I think there's never going to be a substitute. I think most work, if we're going to talk about growth, it's going to involve shadow, it's going to involve emotion, it's going to involve deep psychology, it's going to involve the fact that we exist as identities and personalities with each other, and we're just not going to get something like, I'm really not on board with the transhumanism type direction we're going in here. Let's make the best of things, but let's not kid ourselves that we're not animals, that we're not bodies, that we don't need to be together. So that's my position on it, is there's a lot of it, there's no substitute for being in person, and there's that energy component to things.
Yep, I hear you. I hear you. And I feel very similarly to you on that. I myself, I find it really difficult to not, I'm a hugger, just you know, like, so to be not hugging, like, that's just it's just a thing. Like I can't
I'll hug you if I see you. I'm not a germaphobe.
I'm a huge hugger, right? So all right, so then I just mindful of time. I want to keep this inside of a respectable amount of time for people to be watching the recording. If you have a choice, and I'm going to take the rounds, I'm going to get everybody's opinion. If you have a choice between right now in the current situation, not taking the time and energy, let me see how I want to ask this. It's going to take time, effort, and energy to do any kind of group work right now, okay? So if you have the choice, would you not do any, take the time and energy to do it virtually, or take the time and energy to figure out how to do something in person? Those are your three choices. Not do anything, virtual, or try and figure out how to do it in person. Bill.
Easy, in person.
Mike is in person. Bill? In person? Yeah. Carlos?
Yeah, definitely prefer in person, but I'm open to virtual as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Caroline? No volume, sweetheart. Oh, you got that little clicky on your thing. Change the clicky.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
In person preferred. But I'll take virtual if I can't get in person.
Virtual, okay.
Yeah.
Karen? I might have seen Karen say something in the,
Sorry, I've been doing virtual since March. Like
Okay.
I've been taking all kinds of courses online, and I'm very thankful for those, because otherwise I was going down the rabbit hole in a way I didn't want to go. So it
Yeah.
kept me on the positive.
okay, got that. Colby? Unmute. There, go now.
I would say, since you said work it out, I would be into working out in person because the virtual is already taken care of.
Yeah.
So I would be interested to work at it in person.
Okay, gotcha.
The
Nancy?
virtual we're doing now. So.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm with everybody else too. I think I would try to figure out how to do it in person
in
because there's
person.
just a different energy, and then you know, virtual would always be the backup for me.
Yeah, okay, good. Nancy?
On the fence, lone wolf in me likes virtual. Knowing that in person would be better for me, but I also like saving travel time and, you know, hotel fees, not flying anywhere. So
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go with in the middle.
All right, Lone Wolf, I got your vote. Jim, how about you? Still no volume, dude. Okay, one finger for virtual, two fingers for in person, and
Volume's working.
you'll do it any way you can get it, is what I'm taking from three fingers. All right, so nobody said, what's interesting is nobody said that they wouldn't do it. And I think that's really the underlying thought that I had when I was asking people about this conversation. I notice people pulling back. And I assert that if you're watching this video right now, you're listening, if you've made it through 43 minutes of listening to this conversation, I'm speaking directly to whoever you are that's listening. I assert that as a population right now, we're pulling back. And for all sorts of reasons, that's not healthy. And for all sorts of reasons, we're clear, just everybody shared on this call about all the different things that we get from investing the time, effort, and energy into doing whatever kind of immersive personal growth activity that is. And I honestly, I'm completely unbiased about this. I don't care whether or not, Mike named a number of different things I never even heard of. Karen shared about an organization. There's the Landmark organization. There's Tony Robbins organizations. There's tons of other different organizations that tailor to different spirituality preferences. There's tons of different work that you can do out there. But I'll assert that in this time, there's never been a time when it has been more important for us to be doing this kind of work for ourselves. And if you can figure out how to do something live, whether that's live and distant or live and safe where you can hug somebody. And again, I'm not advocating breaking any local rules or guidelines. But if you can do it live, it sounds like, live would be worth doing it. But at the minimum, figure out how to do something virtually that has you stretch yourself and grow yourself right now. We are not going to be out of this situation anytime soon. And I think it's important for us to be taking the time to take care of ourselves in all the different ways that we need to take care of ourselves. So that's my final thought. Anybody want to share anything else before we say goodbye and wrap up on this one?
Can you hear me now, brother?
Yes, I can.
I'm so sorry. I got to apologize. I'm sitting here thinking, oh, this is a nice little preview to what we'll be doing on. Hey, there's an empty spot. It's Thursday, you dumb. So sorry, brother. I got sidetracked and distracted. Thank you for doing this. My answer, I thought 3 meant in person. I'm a world-class Olympic level hugger, so I want more hugs. Anything to get back with my peeps. It's been a long It's been a long time, and I don't want to subscribe to the new normal thing. I think,
Mm.
and we are overblowing this thing a big deal, but I don't want to get into politics here. But
Yeah.
thank you for doing this. Man, I got Landmark Forum, and actually the full curriculum is where I know Damien from. You were staff there, I believe, and when I went back not too long ago, I was thirsty. A friend said to me, "Hey, you know, I've got the seminar night," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I need to reconnect with that." And the distinctions I use in my life all the time now. It seems like I use them more to troubleshoot other people, what they're going through, rather than my own stuff. Maybe I should spend more time on me, but become really handy just seeing people's stories immediately,
Mm.
and being able to make them aware of them.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so many people have called me on my requests for so long. I feel like they're fortunate after, because they have someone that's got the technology to say, yeah, I'm not really, I don't think you believe that. And they're like, what?
Talk about
Yeah, it's been, you know, just the, you know, the two circles with the what happened, the story about what happened. Wow. Like, I mean, wow. I see where I collapse, you know, the story of what happened over top of the truth all the time. And so, yeah, grateful. My mother is the one that brought me to the program. And I never thought, in fact, driving home Sunday night or whatever, I was like, well, there goes $500. What a waste. And then I did the full curriculum.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
this is a story that not many, well, some people know the story about me, but I went to the Landmark Forum originally to prove that it was a load of garbage.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. I was sitting in the first row taking notes. And everybody who's done that program knows that you're not supposed to be taking notes. So I sat in the first row, 3 seats from the center, right in front of the Landmark Forum leader taking notes, and was asked to stop several times. But that's, as those of you who know that I'm a kind of a bit of a shit disturber know, that that's exactly right up my alley. All right, we're going to wrap, unless anybody's got anything burning that they want to share before we go. I appreciate.
I got something.
You got
Yeah,
like
I got one thing.
20 seconds.
Sure. Yeah. No, to tie up the theme of everything that we've talked about here, Damien, in regards to like getting together and investing time, energy, resources into personal growth and development. I think the current circumstances we find ourselves in is a fantastic opportunity to do that. Just because now that we're actually home, right, you know, things will come up, right? Things that we weren't aware of before and whatnot. So like, as things come up, I think now is the fantastic opportunity to actually look into what's out there to start addressing the things that we weren't previously aware of before. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're in a pressure cooker, right? We're
That's just it, right?
all the time. You can't escape, can't go anywhere. Got to deal with it.
Yeah, for
sure. I appreciate all of you coming on. I've done some of these live conversations before. This is the most people I've ever had on one of these live group discussions, and I loved it. I'm planning to do more, and you're more than welcome to join me on future ones on different topics. And I love having these dialogues where we can look at something and express different points of view. And you know, my intention from these always is to inspire action out there with somebody who's watching that wasn't going to take an action before they heard this conversation. So if even one person watched this video and they decided to go and participate in some kind of an immersive activity, then this was worth spending 50 minutes of our time. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. Much gratitude and love. And we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.
We'll be back, brother. Peace out.
Peace out.
Take care, Damien.